The arrival. The gleaming spires of the Galactic Engineering Academy pierced the lavender sky of Nexus Prime, a planet at the heart of the Galactic Confederation. It was here, amidst the most brilliant minds from 1,000 worlds, that history was about to be made. Zixterra, a cephalon from the gas giant Nimbus VI, floated nervously outside the grand lecture hall. Her tentacles twisted anxiously around her datapad as she watched the stream of alien life forms filing into the room. There were crystalline beings from the ice worlds of the frozen reach, energy constructs pulsing with otherworldly light, and even a few methane brothers waddling in their protective suits. But it wasn't the usual mix of exotic species that had Zixterra on edge. No, it was the rumors that had been swirling through the academy for weeks. Whispers of a new student from a planet so dangerous it defied belief. A Deathworlder. Can you believe it? Chirped Kest, a Vespid whose multifaceted eyes sparkled with excitement. They say the human can withstand pressures that would crush a Jovian giant. Zixterra's skin rippled with a mix of fear and fascination. I heard their planet's gravity is so intense they can punch through starship hulls with their bare hands. A deep, resonant voice cut through their chatter. Now, let's not get carried away with wild speculation. Professor Lockstar, a venerable Arcturian known for his six-dimensional thinking, glided into view. His bioluminescent frill pulsed with calming patterns. Our new student is here to learn, just like the rest of you. I expect you all to make them feel welcome. As if on cue, a hush fell over the gathered students. Zixterra felt a tremor run through her gelatinous form as heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. The crowd parted, revealing a figure that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The human stood nearly 2 meters tall, with a frame that looked like it had been chiseled from the bedrock of their homeworld. Muscles rippled beneath skin that seemed impossibly tough, yet flexed with fluid grace. But it was the eyes that caught Zixterra's attention. They blazed with an intensity that spoke of a mind forged in the crucible of evolution's harshest trials. Holy quantum fluctuations. Kest buzzed, his wings vibrating with excitement. It's true. They really do look like they could bench press a small moon. The human's gaze swept across the assembled aliens, a smile playing at the corners of their mouth. Hi there, they said, their voice a pleasant rumble that seemed to resonate through Zixterra's liquid core. I'm Alex Chen. Looking forward to studying with you all. Professor Lockstar's frill flickered with welcoming patterns. Ah, Cadet Chen. Welcome to the Galactic Engineering Academy. I trust your journey from Earth was uneventful. Alex chuckled, a sound that sent ripples of unease through some of the more skittish species. Well, if you don't count the gravitational slingshot around a binary pulsar and a quick detour through a plasma storm, sure. Uneventful. Zixterra felt her neural clusters light up with fascination. A plasma storm. Most ships would be reduced to their component atoms in seconds. Just what kind of monstrous world had produced this being? As they filed into the lecture hall, the alien students gave Alex a wide berth. It wasn't just the physical presence of the human that unnerved them. It was the casual way they moved in Nexus Prime's lighter gravity, as if they were constantly restraining immense power. Zixterra found herself seated next to the human, her curiosity overriding her initial trepidation. "Excuse me," she pulsed, her skin flashing in the bioluminescent patterns of formal greeting. "I couldn't help but overhear. Did you really travel through a plasma storm?" Alex turned, those intense eyes focusing on Zixterra with unexpected warmth. "Oh yeah, it was actually a pretty smooth ride. The ship's shields held up beautifully. I helped design some of the field harmonics myself." Zixterra's neural pathways lit up with excitement. You contributed to Starship shield design. But how? Earth isn't even part of the Galactic Confederation yet." The human's smile widened, revealing surprisingly blunt teeth. "Let's just say we've had to get creative back home. When your planet tries to kill you on a daily basis, you learn to think outside the box." Before Zixterra could process this startling information, Professor Lockstar's voice boomed through the lecture hall. Attention, students. Today, we begin our study of advanced warp field dynamics. Who can tell me the three fundamental principles of coherent spacetime manipulation? A forest of appendages shot up, tentacles, pincers, energy tendrils, and more. But it was the human's hand, raised almost lazily, that caught the professor's eye. Ah, Cadet Chen. Let's see how Earth's educational system measures up, shall we? Please, enlighten us. Alex stood, and Zixtera marveled at how the simple act seemed to command the attention of every being in the room. Well, Professor, the three principles as commonly taught are temporal synchronicity, spatial folding, and energy mass conversion. But with all due respect, I think that model is a bit outdated. A collective gasp rippled through the lecture hall. Even Professor Lockstar's bioluminescent patterns flickered with surprise. Outdated. Those principles have been the foundation of warp theory for millennia. Please, elaborate on your bold claim. Alex's eyes gleamed with the light of challenge accepted. Gladly. You see, recent experiments on Earth have shown that there's a fourth principle at play: quantum entanglement on a macroscopic scale. By leveraging quantum tunneling effects, we've been able to achieve warp speeds that were previously thought impossible. The lecture hall erupted into a cacophony of excited chatter, tentacles waving, and bioluminescent displays flashing in agitation. Professor Lockstar's frill pulsed rapidly as he attempted to process this paradigm-shifting information. Quantum entanglement, at a macroscopic level. But the energy requirements alone would be. The professor's voice trailed off as the implications sank in. Alex nodded, a hint of pride creeping into their voice. Astronomical, yes, but when you're trying to escape the gravity well of a planet like Earth, you learn to push the boundaries of what's possible. Zixtera's mind reeled. She had known, intellectually, that humans came from a high-gravity world. But to casually discuss manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe as if it were an everyday occurrence. Just what kind of crucible was Earth? As Alex launched into a detailed explanation of Earth's latest warp drive innovations, Zixtera felt a shiver of excitement ripple through her gelatinous form. She had come to the Galactic Engineering Academy, seeking knowledge beyond her wildest dreams. But now, watching this Deathworlder casually rewrite the laws of physics, she realized that the galaxy was about to change in ways no one could have predicted. The age of humanity had arrived at the Galactic Engineering Academy. And if this first lecture was any indication, it was going to be one hell of a semester. The challenge. Weeks had passed since Alex Shen's arrival at the Galactic Engineering Academy, and the initial shock of having a Deathworlder in their midst had given way to a wary fascination among the alien students. Alex's casual brilliance in class, coupled with an easygoing demeanor, had begun to chip away at the barrier of fear that had initially surrounded them. Zixtera found herself drawn into Alex's orbit, her scientific curiosity overriding her instinctive caution. She marveled at how the human's mind seemed to work on a different level, approaching problems from angles that would never occur to species from more forgiving worlds. It was during one particularly grueling practical exam that the true extent of human ingenuity became apparent to the entire class. Professor Lockstar's bioluminescent frill pulsed with anticipation as he addressed the assembled students. Today's challenge will test the very limits of your engineering prowess. You are to design and construct a functional quantum entanglement communicator, using only the materials found in this standard emergency repair kit. A wave of dismay swept through the class. Quantum entanglement communication was cutting-edge technology, requiring precision equipment and exotic materials. To build one from scraps seemed impossible. Kest, the Vespid, buzzed in distress. But Professor, the power requirements alone would be impossible to meet with standard equipment. Yes, Kest, that is precisely the point, Professor Lockstar interjected, his frill flickering with amusement. In the field, you won't always have access to a fully equipped lab. True innovation comes from working within constraints. Zixtera felt her neural clusters pulse with anxiety. She glanced at Alex, expecting to see the same concern mirrored on the human's face. Instead, she was startled to see a grin spreading across Alex's features. "Now this is my kind of test," Alex murmured, eyes already darting over the contents of the repair kit. As the other students hesitantly began to sort through their supplies, Alex's hands moved with surprising speed and precision. Zixtera watched in fascination as the human began to disassemble various components, repurposing them in ways that defied conventional engineering wisdom. "What are you doing?" Zixtera pulsed, her skin flashing with patterns of confusion. Alex glanced up, that intense gaze softening slightly. "Back on Earth, we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When your survival depends on making something work with whatever you have on hand, you learn to get creative." Hours ticked by. Around the room, frustration mounted as students struggled to even begin conceptualizing a solution. But in Alex's corner, a strange device was taking shape. It looked like no quantum entanglement communicator Zixtera had ever seen. A hodgepodge of repurposed parts, held together with what appeared to be, was that chewing gum. Professor Lockstar drifted by, his frill pulsing with skepticism as he examined Alex's creation. "Cadet Chen, while I appreciate your unconventional approach, I fail to see how this contraption could possibly function as a quantum entanglement communicator." Alex's grin widened. "With all due respect, Professor, maybe we need to redefine what we consider functioning. May I demonstrate?" The professor's bioluminescent patterns flickered with curiosity. "By all means." Alex activated the device. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, a holographic display sputtered to life above the makeshift communicator. It showed a real-time image of the lecture hall, from a perspective that seemed impossibly distant. "Is that the view from the Academy's orbital station?" Professor Lockstar's voice was barely above a whisper, his frill pulsing rapidly with shock. Alex nodded, pride evident in their voice. "Yes, sir. I couldn't generate enough power for traditional quantum entanglement, so I had to get a bit creative. This device piggybacks on the existing quantum link between the Academy and the orbital station, using a modified version of quantum tunneling to borrow the signal." The lecture hall erupted into chaos. Students crowded around Alex's workstation, tentacles waving and bioluminescent displays flashing in excitement. Even the more reserved species couldn't contain their awe at this impossible feat of engineering. Professor Lockstar's frill was a riot of colors as he struggled to process what he was seeing. But the power requirements, the precision needed for quantum tunneling, it shouldn't be possible with these materials. Alex shrugged, a gesture that sent ripples of movement through their powerful frame. "Well, Professor, when you grow up on a planet where the laws of physics seem to be actively trying to kill you, you learn to bend those laws a bit." Zixtera felt her neural pathways light up with a mixture of awe and newfound respect. She had known, intellectually, that humans came from a harsh world. But to see the results of that evolutionary crucible in action, it was both terrifying and exhilarating. As the excitement in the room reached a fever pitch, Zixtera noticed something else. The fear and wariness that had surrounded Alex since their arrival was evaporating. In its place was a new emotion, one that transcended species barriers: admiration. Professor Lockstar finally managed to regain some composure, his frill settling into patterns of deep thought. "Cadet Chen, I believe you've just rewritten the textbook on field communications. This could revolutionize emergency response across the galaxy." Alex's expression turned serious. "That's the idea, Professor. On Earth, we've learned the hard way that sometimes communication can mean the difference between life and death. If this can help save lives out there in the galaxy, well, that's why I came to the Academy in the first place." As the implications of Alex's invention began to sink in, Zixtera felt a shiver run through her gelatinous form. She had come to the Galactic Engineering Academy seeking knowledge, but now she realized she was witnessing something far greater. This human, This Deathworlder wasn't just here to learn. They were here to push the boundaries of what was possible, to challenge the very foundations of galactic engineering. And as she looked around at her fellow students, Zixtera saw the same realization dawning in their eyes: bioluminescent patterns and neural clusters. The age of complacency in galactic engineering was over. Humanity had arrived, and with them came a storm of innovation that would reshape the stars themselves. The challenge had been met and exceeded in ways no one could have predicted. And this, Zixtera realized with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, was only the beginning. The revelation, the aftermath of Alex Shen's groundbreaking demonstration, rippled through the Galactic Engineering Academy like a shockwave. Whispers of the human's feats spread from the engineering department to every corner of the vast institution. Xenobiologists debated the evolutionary pressures that could produce such innovative thinking, while theoretical physicists grappled with the implications of Alex's quantum tunneling technique. For Zixtera, the revelation went beyond mere academic interest. She found herself drawn into Alex's orbit, fascinated by the unique perspective the human brought to every problem. It was during one of their late-night study sessions in the Academy's holographic library that she finally worked up the courage to ask the question that had been burning in her neural clusters. Alex, she pulsed, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. What's it really like on Earth? We've all heard the stories, but Alex's intense gaze softened, a wistful smile playing across their features. It's complicated, Zix. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Imagine a world where the very air can turn against you, where the ground beneath your feet might suddenly split open and swallow entire cities. Zixtera's gelatinous form quivered at the thought. That sounds horrifying. How do you survive in such conditions? Alex chuckled, the sound resonating through the quiet library. That's just it, Zix. We don't just survive. We thrive. Every challenge Earth throws at us, we meet head-on and overcome. It's shaped us, forced us to innovate in ways you're more forgiving worlds never required. As Alex spoke, the holographic display around them shimmered, responding to the human's words. Suddenly, Zixtera found herself surrounded by visions of Earth, towering mountains wreathed in storms, vast oceans teeming with life, sprawling cities that defied the very laws of nature. This, Alex said, gesturing to a holographic representation of a massive seawall, it's how we protect our coastal cities from rising seas and superstorms. And this, the image shifted to a network of sleek, underground tunnels, is our latest transportation system, designed to withstand earthquakes that could level your average galactic city. Zixtera's neural pathways lit up with a mixture of awe and horror. But why stay? Surely with your level of technology, you could terraform a more hospitable world. Alex's expression turned serious. We've considered it, but Earth is our home, Zix. It's the crucible that forged us. Besides, a mischievous glint appeared in their eye. Where's the fun in easy living? As they continued their impromptu tour of Earth, more students drifted into the library, drawn by the spectacular holographic display. Soon, a small crowd had gathered, watching in rapt attention as Alex explained the myriad ways humans had adapted to their death world. Kest, the Vespid, buzzed with excitement as Alex described Earth's weather manipulation systems. Incredible. You mean you can actually control the patterns of your world's atmosphere? Control is a strong word, Alex replied with a grin. It's more like nudging things in a less destructive direction. We learned the hard way that trying to dominate nature only leads to bigger problems down the line. A crystalline Tholian student chimed in, their faceted body refracting the holographic light. But surely your physiology must have adapted to these conditions over time. Your strength, your resilience, they seem almost supernatural to us. Alex nodded, their expression thoughtful. Evolution has certainly played a role, but a lot of it comes down to mindset. When you grow up in an environment that's constantly trying to kill you, You learn to see every problem as an opportunity for growth. Zixtera felt a ripple of understanding flow through her neural clusters. Is that why you approach the quantum entanglement challenge so differently? Because on Earth, failure isn't an option. Exactly, Alex beamed, clearly pleased by Zixtera's insight. In a lot of ways, that test was easier than what we deal with back home. At least here, the air wasn't trying to dissolve my lungs while I worked. A collective shudder ran through the assembled alien students. The casual way Alex referred to such deadly conditions was both terrifying and oddly inspiring. As the night wore on, the holographic display shifted to showcase more of Earth's wonders and terrors. Alex regaled the growing crowd with tales of human perseverance. Cities rebuilt after devastating natural disasters, ecosystems carefully balanced on the edge of collapse, and technological marvels born from the necessity of survival. For many of the alien students, it was a profound paradigm shift. They had been raised on worlds where nature was, if not benign, at least predictable. The idea of a sentient species not just surviving but thriving in conditions that would be considered apocalyptic on most worlds. It challenged everything they thought they knew about the limits of adaptation and innovation. As the first light of Nexus Prime's twin suns began to filter through the library's crystalline windows, Zixtera found herself looking at Alex with new eyes. The human's imposing physical presence, once a source of instinctive fear, now seemed like a testament to the indomitable spirit of their species. Alex, she pulsed, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with a mix of awe and determination. I think I understand now. Your approach to engineering, to problem solving. It's not just about individual brilliance. It's the culmination of your entire species' struggle against a world that never stops challenging you. Alex's smile was warm, tinged with a hint of pride, not just in themselves, but in all of humanity. You've got it, Zix, and that's why we're out here among the stars now. Earth taught us to innovate, to push boundaries. Now we're ready to take on the challenges of the entire galaxy. As the impromptu gathering began to disperse, Zixtera noticed a change in the way her fellow students looked at Alex. The fear and wariness were gone, replaced by a newfound respect, and in many cases, admiration. They had come to the Galactic Engineering Academy to learn about the cutting edge of science and technology. Now they realized that the true frontier of innovation had just arrived from a little blue planet in an unassuming star system. Zixtera's neural clusters pulsed with excitement as she contemplated the implications. If this was what one human could do, what might be possible when humanity fully joined the galactic community? As she watched Alex field questions from eager students, Zixtera knew one thing for certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The age of humanity had truly begun, and with it, a new era of galactic engineering was dawning. And Zixtera, along with her fellow students, was determined to be at the forefront of this revolution. The collaboration. In the weeks following Alex's revelatory presentation on Earth, a palpable shift occurred within the halls of the Galactic Engineering Academy. The initial wariness towards the human Deathworlder had given way to a fervent curiosity. Students from across the galaxy now vied for the chance to work alongside Alex, eager to tap into the wellspring of human innovation. Professor Lockstar, recognizing the unique opportunity before him, decided to capitalize on this newfound enthusiasm. As his frill pulsed with excitement, he addressed the packed lecture hall. Students, the time has come to put your collaborative skills to the test. For your next project, you will work in mixed species teams to design and prototype a new type of planetary defense system. This system must be adaptable to a wide range of environments, from gas giants to terrestrial death worlds. A buzz of excitement rippled through the room. Zixtera felt her neural clusters light up with anticipation. This was a chance to apply the insights they'd gained from Alex's stories about Earth. To ensure a diversity of perspectives, Professor Lockstar continued, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with amusement. I will be assigning the teams myself. And yes, before you ask, Each team will include at least one human. As the professor read out the team assignments, Zixtera found herself grouped with Alex, kissed the Vespid, a crystalline folian named Exirax, and a methane-breathing Jovian called Gloop. It was an eclectic mix, to say the least. Well, Alex grinned as they gathered around a holographic workstation. This should be interesting. I don't think I've ever worked with a team quite this diverse before. Kist's wings buzzed with nervous energy. But how can we possibly create a system that works for all planetary types? The environmental demands are so vastly different. Exirax, their crystalline body refracting the light from the holographic display, chimed in. Perhaps we're approaching this from the wrong angle. Instead of trying to create a one-size-fits-all solution, we should focus on adaptability. Zixtera felt her gelatinous form ripple with excitement as an idea began to form. What if we combined principles from each of our homeworlds? A modular system that can reconfigure itself based on the environment it's deployed in. Alex's eyes lit up with that now familiar spark of innovation. Zix, that's brilliant. We could use principles from Earth's weather control systems as a base, then incorporate elements suited for each planetary type. As they dove into the project, Zixtera marveled at the synergy that emerged. Alex's outside-the-box thinking meshed surprisingly well with the methodical approach of Terrax. Hist's understanding of complex atmospheric interactions complemented Gloop's expertise in high-pressure environments. And Zixtera found her own adaptable nature allowed her to bridge gaps in understanding between her teammates. Days turned into weeks as the team worked tirelessly on their prototype. The holographic workstation became a second home, littered with virtual schematics and half-finished simulations. They faced numerous setbacks, power fluctuations that would have fried lesser systems, theoretical materials that proved unstable in certain environments, and computational models that stubbornly refused to align with reality. But with each obstacle, Zixtera noticed something remarkable. Instead of becoming discouraged, Alex seemed to grow more energized. The humans' enthusiasm was infectious, spurring the team to push beyond their perceived limits. On Earth, Alex explained during one particularly grueling all-nighter, we have a saying, failure is not an option. It comes from our early space program, when the lives of astronauts depended on engineers solving seemingly impossible problems. Gloop gurgled thoughtfully, their methane-based form swirling in contemplation. A curious mindset. In Jovian culture, we see setbacks as a natural part of the cosmic cycle, but I must admit, your approach does yield impressive results. As the deadline loomed, their prototype began to take shape. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, a seamlessly integrated system that combined the best elements of multiple worlds' technologies. At its core was a network of quantum-entangled particles, inspired by Alex's earlier communicator design, allowing for instantaneous response across vast distances. The outer layers featured adaptive shielding that could solidify into crystal-like structures for terrestrial environments or disperse into a gaseous form for protection of Jovian-type planets. Atmospheric control modules, based on both Vespid swarm intelligence and Earth's weather manipulation tech, could create protective bubbles or disperse incoming threats. On the night before the presentation, as they ran final simulations, Zixtera felt a surge of pride ripple through her neural pathways. We've really done it, she pulsed, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with joy. A truly universal defense system. Alex nodded, their eyes shining with a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. It's more than that. Zix, this isn't just a sum of its parts. It's something entirely new, born from the combined ingenuity of multiple species. This is the future of galactic engineering. As they stood before Professor Loxthar and a panel of expert judges the next day, Zixtera felt none of her usual presentation anxiety. There was a quiet confidence shared among the team, a sense that they had created something truly revolutionary. Their presentation was met with stunned silence, followed by a barrage of questions. The judges, some of the most brilliant minds in the galaxy, seemed almost childlike in their excitement as they probed the intricacies of the design. Professor Lockstar's frill pulsed with colors Zixtera had never seen before. Was that awe? "In all my cycles of teaching," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "I have never seen a project of this caliber. You haven't just completed the assignment. You've revolutionized the field of planetary defense." As the reality of their achievement sank in, Zixtera looked around at her teammates. Kest was buzzing with barely contained glee, while Xerax's crystalline form sparkled with pride. Gloop had turned a deep, satisfied purple. And Alex was beaming, but not with the solo pride of individual achievement. This was the joy of shared success, of barriers broken down, and new frontiers explored together. In that moment, Zixtera realized that this project represented something far greater than an academic achievement. It was a glimpse into a future where the brilliance of humanity didn't overshadow the rest of galactic society, but uplifted it. A future where the combined strengths of myriad species could tackle challenges once thought insurmountable. As congratulations poured in and discussions of practical applications began, Zixtera felt a new sense of purpose solidify within her. The galaxy was entering a new age of innovation and collaboration, and she was determined to be at the forefront. The human Deathworlder had not just brought Earth's indomitable spirit to the stars. They had shown the galaxy how to forge that spirit anew, in the fires of shared adversity and triumph. And as Zixtera looked towards the future, she knew that together, there was no challenge they couldn't overcome. The triumph. The success of the Planetary Defense System project catapulted Alex, Zixtera, and their teammates into the spotlight of the Galactic Engineering Academy. Their revolutionary design had not only earned them top marks, but had also caught the attention of the Galactic Confederation's Defense Council. Suddenly, what had begun as an academic exercise was on the fast track to becoming a real-world implementation. However, the true test of their invention, and the newfound collaboration between humans and alien species, would come sooner than anyone expected. It was meant to be a routine test deployment. The team had gathered in the Academy's state-of-the-art simulation chamber, preparing to run their defense system through a series of increasingly complex scenarios. Professor Lockstar and a delegation from the Defense Council watched from an observation deck, their anticipation palpable. As Alex initiated the startup sequence, Zixtera felt her neural clusters pulse with a mixture of excitement and nerves. This was it, the moment that would prove whether their innovative approach could truly work on a galactic scale. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The holographic displays flickered, showing a massive anomaly approaching the Nexus system. "This isn't part of the simulation." Kest buzzed, his wings vibrating with alarm. Professor Lockstar's voice came through the comm system, his usual calm replaced by urgent concern. "We're detecting a Class 10 solar flare from Nexus Prime's star. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. The system's standard defenses won't be enough." The implications hit Zixtera like a gravitational shockwave. A flare of that magnitude could devastate the entire system, potentially ending millions of lives and destroying the Academy. For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm the chamber. But then, Alex's voice cut through the chaos, steady and determined. "Everyone, listen up. This is exactly the kind of situation we designed our system for. We can do this." Zixtera felt a ripple of calm spread through her gelatinous form. She looked at Alex, saw the fire of determination in those human eyes, and knew that failure truly wasn't an option. "Alex is right," she pulsed, her bioluminescent patterns flashing with resolve. "We've simulated scenarios even worse than this. We just need to adapt our plan to the real-world conditions." As if a switch had been flipped, the team snapped into action. The panic of moments before was replaced by focused determination. This is what they had trained for, what their combined brilliance had prepared them to face. "Kest, start reconfiguring the atmospheric shields," Alex commanded. "We'll need to disperse the initial wave of radiation." Exurax, focus on reinforcing the crystal lattice structure. We'll need maximum refraction to scatter the flare's energy. Gloop, your expertise in high-energy environments is crucial here, Zixterra added. Work with me to modulate the quantum field generators. We need to create a bubble that can absorb and redirect the flare's power. As they worked, Zixterra marveled at how smoothly they functioned as a unit. The barriers between species seemed to melt away, replaced by a symphony of shared purpose. Alex's human ingenuity meshed seamlessly with alien perspectives, each contribution strengthening the whole. Professor Loxthar's voice came through again, tinged with awe. Whatever you're doing, it's working. The defense grid is coming online across the system. It's beautiful. Through the holographic display, they watched as their creation sprang to life. A shimmering network of energy fields enveloped planets, moons, and space stations. Crystalline structures bloomed in the void, refracting and dispersing the approaching wall of stellar fury. As the flare hit, Zixterra felt as though time itself held its breath. For a terrifying moment, it seemed as though even their best efforts might not be enough. The energy readings spiked beyond anything they had simulated, pushing their system to its absolute limits. But then, something remarkable happened. The adaptive algorithms they had designed began to learn, to evolve in real time. Inspired by the resilience of Earth's ecosystems and the collective intelligence of various alien species, the system started to anticipate the flare's behavior, adjusting its defenses microsecond by microsecond. It's working. Kest buzzed excitedly. The flare is being redirected. Indeed, the apocalyptic energy of the stellar flare was being channeled, dispersed, and in some cases even harnessed by their defense grid. What could have been the end of the Nexus system was instead becoming a spectacular stellar-like show. As the danger passed and the realization of their success sank in, the chamber erupted in cheers, buzzes, bioluminescent flashes, and every other form of celebration the diverse group could muster. Zixterra felt her entire being pulse with joy and pride. Alex turned to the team, their eyes shining with a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. We did it. Not as humans, not as individual species, but as a unified force. This is what we can achieve when we combine our strengths. Professor Loxthar entered the chamber, his frill pulsing with colors Zixterra had never seen before, perhaps the Arcturian equivalent of being speechless with awe. "You've done more than save the system," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've shown us the true potential of galactic cooperation." In the days that followed, as news of their achievements spread across the Confederation, Zixterra reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the initial fear and skepticism that had greeted Alex's arrival, to the groundbreaking collaboration that had saved millions of lives, it was a testament to the power of diversity, innovation, and shared purpose. The Galactic Engineering Academy had been founded on the principle of bringing together the brightest minds from across the stars. But it took the arrival of a human from a deadly, unforgiving world to show them what was truly possible when those minds worked as one. As she watched Alex excitedly discussing future projects with a group of alien students, Zixterra felt a sense of profound optimism ripple through her neural clusters. The age of humanity had indeed arrived in the galactic community, not as conquerors or saviors, but as catalysts, sparking the new era of innovation and cooperation that would propel them all towards a brighter future. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if in anticipation of the wonders yet to come. And Zixterra knew, with the certainty of scientific fact, that together there was no challenge they couldn't overcome, no frontier they couldn't explore. The Deathworlders had not just joined galactic society, they had transformed it, and the universe would never be the same again.